Hi, everybody. I'm here to explain what we're doing on Wednesday, 9/30/2020. Just previously, we had wrapped up Chapter 2's notes, and we wrapped up the Traveling Nitrogen Lab, so review that if you need to. We wrapped up the Chapter 2 quiz, and from there, what we're looking at is wrapping up the first unit completely. So I have a few items here. This is based on biogeochemical cycles, so I can explain the role of biogeochemical cycles and how you can explain how different nutrients cycle through the environment. To do that, I'm going to show you where to find those. I do not have them linked on here, but it is right here. If you look under Unit 1A, the red folder, Biogeochemical Cycles Reading. If you click that, and it won't make a copy for you, it's just a document to view. You can make a copy if you want to. Just remember to use the download button here. You can also press down here, and there's the PDF file. But my recommendation is make sure you can answer these questions as best you can on things like the water cycle, carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, and finally the phosphorus cycle. We focused a lot on the nitrogen cycle, and if you hear some bouncing in the background, that is my 11-month-old daughter, who turns 1 tomorrow, so she'll be 1 now. But I'll still talk, and hopefully she's not too distracting. Make sure the water cycle, you understand what that is, and some details about the carbon cycle. And we may have touched a little bit on the phosphorus cycle, not as heavily emphasized, but it is still important to know. On top of that, that was one thing. The other two things, review math questions for test and practice exam problems. Those are both also found on this red folder. Down here, Unit 1A, test math practice. Very good source of information for this test. These practice problems right here, there are 6 of them. I would open that up and try to attempt them. Then go and look at the practice problem answers. There'll be screenshots of board work for each one of them, but they should answer any questions you have. Try those out because you'll see some on the test. In addition, there are 2 questions here on hot water heater energy conversion and hot water heater energy conversion 18 and 19. Look those over very closely. You will see a very similar question like that on the test coming up. So it would be to your benefit to look those over before we work on the test, which will be coming up in the next session that we meet. Then finally, maybe one of the best pieces of information is this Unit 1A practice exam. Open that up. Try those problems out, and then the key is right there. Not that you would see these exact questions, but you can see questions like it on the test. So very good information to get you prepared for this this test, which brings us to what we're doing after this when we meet again. Be dealing with explaining the role of chemicals in the environment, and that'll segue into our Unit 1 test. I also want to look at a little bit of Chapter 3 notes, and even have this population growth POGL that we're going to work on afterwards. It'll bring us into carrying capacities and how they predict population sizes. So work on that a little bit. And just to wrap up the week coming ahead, we'll turn that in. We'll finish Chapter 3 notes completely. We'll practice some of the population growth rate problems so you get familiar with that calculation, which you will see on the exam. I promise you that one pops up every year. And then I'll introduce an invasive species assignment that the due date will be coming up, and I think I've got it scheduled here for December 11th. So it is, that's the date. So just make a note of that, and I'll talk about that more when we get to that day. Don't forget about the Apes in the News project too. That is still live, and that is still something you can work on in the meantime. It will be due before you know it. If you have any questions, just let me know in Schoology, and I will talk to you later.